Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Don't Start a Band podcast. A little disclaimer for the beginning here. This is my first podcast, so if it seems a little awkward, it is a little awkward because I'm staring at a camera and there's just a microphone sitting right here and I'm hearing myself. It's a little weird, but you know what? This podcast is gonna get a little weird. So, the Don't Start a Band podcast, it initially is going to be geared towards being in a band, starting a band, and navigating the choppy waters of bandliness. I'm going to be having guests on, and basically it's going to be myself and others just talking about our experiences as far as being in a band and everything that it takes to play in a band. And, when musicians get together, sometimes we get a little silly. So the podcast might get a little silly from time to time. But, it's entertainment. That's all it is. Not acting. We are not going to be acting. There's no scripts. I made some notes, but that's so that I'm not sitting here going, But notes are good, but it's not going to be scripted. And if anybody comes in here and they go, "Hey, Jake, how's it going?" and they sound like a morning DJ, we're going to start over. It's probably going to happen. I don't know. That's what's so exciting about starting this podcast is I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. But to give you a little background about myself, my name is Jake Cook, and I currently play in a band called the Backseaters. But this story starts around the time I was 11, which feels like a lifetime ago, but I'm only 24 now, so it started then, and I remember I had been super into Blink-182 all throughout elementary school, and I remember watching their music videos one day and just seeing Travis Barker play drums. On that day, I remember the moment I was watching the video and I said, that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. The decision was made right then that that's all I wanted out of life. And so I started playing drums, took lessons, and playing drums alone by yourself is cool for about a year. And then I started my first band, and it was called Epic Stand. Yes, I named it, and yes, you can laugh. I was super into a band called the Angels and Airwaves at the time that was super spacey and positive and epic. So I thought I was being really profound by naming it that. And that was my first formative experience as far as being in a band and learning to collaborate with other musicians and write songs. And that first band was the first time I had ever played in front of people. And if I didn't know that I wanted to play music for the rest of my life before that, definitely after that first time, I knew that that was all I wanted to do forever and always. It was a learning experience. I remember we played at a library once. We were a rock band. We were like an indie alternative punk band, something like that. We played in a library. We played in Wahoo's Fish Tacos. A lot of really weird shows. And Battle of the Bands is. And then in high school, I started a band. I named this one as well, called Writing Right. Right spelled R-I-T-E. look it up. It means something about a gathering. I don't know. But I started that band, and that band was super important to me because that kind of shaped me or started me in a certain direction as a songwriter, as far as telling stories and just not writing songs like Blink-182, because once I got to that moment, there are bands who love Blink-182 and try to do the Blink-182 thing. It's been done, and I didn't want to try and do it. So, learned a lot about songwriting, but also that's what got my foot in the door as far as starting to book shows in the Denver music scene. And I started meeting the local promoters for the venues in Denver through playing in that band, and that was my open door into the Denver music scene. And after that band broke up, I had played drums for a couple other bands, a band called the Host Club. They took me out of state to play shows for the first time. That was rad. But around the time I was 18, I was listening to a band called the Gaslight Anthem, and I loved how personal their song sounded and just the fact that they were the best band on earth. And I decided that I wanted to start writing and recording all my own songs. And I played drums, so I taught myself the guitar, and I had been singing and playing drums in every band I had been in, so I was an okay singer. And I did some demos, and then I put out the first EP called Mailboxes, all by my lonesome. Nobody wanted to be in my band. It's okay, because now people do. It's cool. But after putting out Mailboxes, the beautiful David Jerusik came into my life and started playing drums for the Backseaters. And our bass player, Colton, who I've known for over 10 years now, he was basically the only bass player I knew in Colorado, and he was one of my best friends, so it all worked out. And those two guys are probably going to be on the podcast frequently. We're probably just going to shoot the shit, talk about our experiences, probably promote, because that's what it's about, right? Isn't that what everything's about? Interviews, podcasts, and stuff. It's promoting some type of shit. Listen to any podcast. They got sponsors. Everybody's trying to accomplish something, so don't fucking hate on me. I know people are going to do it. I'm just trying to get out ahead of it. And then we just recently got a lead guitar player. His name's Chris, and he'll probably be in here too. He is one of the nicest people I've ever met, so a little, look out for those episodes, because they're going to be funny, because Chris is going to be himself, being super nice, and I'm going to be an asshole. And for those of you who don't know me, it's not a malicious assholedness. It's just like a joking, poking fun, because I'm so envious that he can be nice and such a pleasant human being all the time. But yeah, it's all the guests that we're going to have on here. It's just going to be about personal experiences and just having, real human connection. People sitting in a room together, talking about being in a band and everything that it takes to be in a band, as well as music in general. We're going to talk about all kinds of music, and it's probably mostly going to be a long-form podcast, unedited. We're not going to do cuts. We're going to try not to cut shit out. Nobody's going to have scripts, like I've said before. Just 2 people or 3 people, maybe more, sitting in a room talking about personal experiences, music, and silly things, because silly things happen when silly people are being silly. I do have some disclaimers. Disclaimer number 1. This podcast is not designed as a here's how to make it, here's how to get a record deal, here's what you have to do step by step. That's not what this is at all. It's people sharing personal experiences, and this is what we did. It's not, this isn't a guide on how to make it, because there is no guide. This is, like I said, personal experiences. This isn't a guide. Also, we're not really going to be, there might be some things that we say, hey, if you do this, it probably won't work out well for you. But we're not going to be telling you what to do, what not to do. I, as well as the guests I'm going to have on here, we don't have all the answers. So it's not our place to tell you how to make it. And if you meet anybody who claims to have all the answers to anything, they're full of shit. Trust the honest people. Hopefully that's me. I think it's me. I would like to say I'm an honest person, so I'm going to honestly tell you all the honest ways that I found things that worked for me, and all the honest ways that I have fucked up, because I have fucked up a lot. And if you start a band, you're going to fuck up. I can guarantee. Maybe you won't. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. And the last disclaimer is, I think I already said this, but it's not always going to be about music, because when you get two genuine human beings in a room together, you can have a guideline of the topic of what you're going to be talking about, but at the end of the day, people are going to talk about whatever the hell they want to talk about. So if you're looking for something that's just only going to be about music, 100% no funny business, this is not the podcast for you. I'm telling you right now. But at this point, you're already 12 minutes in, so you might as well just listen to the end of this one and every single one that comes on after this. But if you have listened this far, I want to stress that I do want you to start a band. The title is more so, I'm not going to lie, it's to grab people's attention. But I do want people to start a band, and I do want people to keep playing music. I know that it is difficult to start a band, to find people to play in a band with, and being in the music business can be a little discouraging sometimes. So, do start a band and do play music. And if anything that me or my guests says, anything we say, if that helps, that is mission accomplished, because we're all trying to help each other. We're all in it together. We're all trying to spread our love of music and music itself to the world. So do start a band, keep playing music. And for people that don't play music, even if you don't play music, I'm gonna get a little motivational speaker here. I am not a motivational speaker, so I'm just trying to get in front of the hate that's going to follow. So people are gonna say I'm full of shit, but at the end of the day, even if you're not a musician, find something that you love, that makes you happy, that you can start doing and forget about time, because honestly, that's what music is for me. There's been times where I've gone into the studio in the morning and then I come out of the studio and it's nighttime. So, and I work a full-time job, but when I play music and I book shows and I do all that stuff, it may look like a job from the outside, but it's not. And that would be, I guess, just a piece of advice for people, is just to find something that makes you forget about time and something you love. And yes, I coordinated that with the music because I knew that part was coming. But, and even if you don't have that one thing, if you're like, oh my God, I don't know what my thing is, that's okay too. Because I can guarantee if you are a human being living here on Earth, there are things that you enjoy, and it's, just realize when you're doing those things, I love what I'm doing right now, and just be there in the moment, enjoy what you're doing, and, just realize all the things that you love about life, man or woman or other. Just find something you love. For me, it's music. For you, it might be knitting, might be skateboarding, might be building trampolines. I don't know what you're into, but if you love it, do it. But yeah, that's basically it. It's going to be talking about bands, being in bands, starting bands, doing band things, bands. And then also some silly things. We're going to get silly. We're going to say silly things. We're going to be silly. And there's going to be guests. Sometimes it might just be me talking like this if I feel I have something really important to say. But I'm going to try and have guests. And again, I want to say this is not a podcast that's going to tell you how to make it, the do's and don'ts, the top 10 things that are going to make you famous. That isn't this. And I'm not claiming to have all the answers, and I'm not claiming to know shit. I'm just here, and my guests are going to be here telling everybody what we did and how it was either the funnest thing in the world or it sucked shit. So, Don't Start a Band, episode 1. Gotta say this at the end here. If you want to be a sponsor of this podcast, please shoot me an email at dsabpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll work something out. Also, if you want to be on the podcast or for other reasons, follow me on Instagram at Jake Backseaters, or find me on Facebook. It's just Jake Cook. And this podcast, like I said, is about human connection. So if you just want to get together and you're not a musician but you want to talk about music, as long as we say music at least 43 times and say the word band 11 to 27 times, I think that falls in the guidelines of the Don't Start a Band podcast. So anybody who wants to be on the podcast, I would love to have you on. I think this is going to be a fun experience, and I really look forward to filming, recording, and putting up more episodes. So Don't Start a Band podcast, episode 1. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.